Today we're back with the 2001 Honda S2000, and I feel like I owe you guys an update on this car because it's been quite a while since I've filmed a video on it, and for good reason. It's pretty much been down the entire winter for repairs. The first thing that happened was the clutch went out. 149,000 miles on the OEM clutch, and the pressure plate just kind of broke into about 5 different pieces during the Gingerman track day that we do every fall. So I actually wasn't driving the car when it happened. A couple other people were driving the car, and just this happens with high mileage OEM clutches. I didn't really know that it was the clutch at first because the clutch master cylinder was leaking. We figured it might be that. We were having issues shifting at higher RPMs, but at lower RPMs things seemed fine. So we replaced the clutch master cylinder, then we did a shifter re-grease and rebuild, and that helped a lot, but still we're having shifting issues, so we were like, okay, it's probably the clutch. Clutch kit was about $560 on eBay. OEM decided if the OEM one lasted 150,000 miles, we're going to go with another OEM one. And labor was about $700 at Jurgen's in Plymouth. He is kind of the local S2000 guru. So all said and done, about $1,300. Not too bad for a clutch replacement. Got rid of the clutch chatter at lower RPMs, and the car just drives awesome. It's so smooth. It feels fantastic. It feels so fresh with the rebuilt shifter, the new clutch, and everything else that we've done to this car. This has been, I think, the most unreliable car I've ever owned. It's required the most amount of maintenance. In 2 years, we've put 6,000 miles on it. Granted, those are 6,000 hard miles, but we bought this for 12 grand, shipped it out from Washington State to Michigan, and we have about 22.5 into it. All said and done with tax, title, insurance, everything. And these are all the things that we've replaced and done. Some are cosmetic, some were unnecessary, like we didn't need to go out and buy a separate set of rotors. The rotors on this were actually pretty good. Just because I've kind of gotten tired of working on this car. There's a little bit of labor involved. Diff mounts. Oh yeah, we replaced all the engine mounts, diff mounts, transmission mount. So the car really does drive amazing right now. And, this is probably worth on a good day about 18 grand. It's got some mileage. The seats look fantastic. But yeah, we've put some money into this thing, and for better or for worse, I think many of you guys know my buddy Tom and I are splitting this car. So all said and done, we don't really have a lot of money into it personally each, since everything is split up 50-50. That makes it a little bit easier to pallet. But I just kind of wonder, should we have bought a cleaner S2000, a lower mileage one that may not have required as much maintenance? We've done just about everything to this car that you read about on the forums to do to an older S2000. It's been fun to work on. And every time I think about selling it, I go for a drive, and I can't do it. I just can't do it. It's so good. It's so perfect. Right now it's on winter tires. These are the Michelin X Ice Snows. Carried over from my BRZ a few years ago. They're still running. We didn't really wear them out this year because, didn't really drive the car. So these are probably going to be swapped out here soon for a set of Continental Extreme Contact Sport 02s on another set of 16-inch OEM wheels. So this will probably be the last and only drive we get on the winter tires this year. Oh, and also you may have noticed this happened, unfortunately. We were replacing an O2 sensor in this because we got a check engine light, and it was up on my buddy Tom's lift, closed the garage door, and so we're getting a new trunk because there's also a spot here that is cracking and rusting a little bit. Looks like a repair. That might be Bondo cracking underneath there. Who knows what's under there. Just ordering a whole new trunk. It was about $500-600 from Honda, and we're gonna get it painted, blended, and it'll look nice, look fresh. Every panel on this has pretty much been repainted. Some very badly, like the hood doesn't look great, especially in the sunlight, lots of striping. But you know what? I saw some striping on a $80,000 Ram 1500 earlier this year that we tested, so it's okay. It's a driver. We're gonna put the top down because that's really the only way I drive this thing. Sometimes it goes down properly, sometimes it doesn't. There we go. Give it a little bit of helping hand there. Tom and I are going to do a comprehensive video on just about everything we've done to this car, why it needed it, why maybe it didn't need it, what it costs. So we're going to do like a whole cost breakdown on the S2000 over the last couple years. So look forward to that video. We just haven't been able to film it together. Tom's been so busy. I've been so busy. We've been traveling. So with today's video, let's talk about some of the changes, the new clutch, the engine mounts, the transmission mounts, the shifter rebuild, and also I disconnected the rear sway bar from one end link. So we have a lot more rear traction now than we used to. On the track day, actually, it felt fantastic. Less prone to lift off oversteer and much more capable at putting its power down on throttle coming out of a corner. So I don't think it's too wallowy for the grip that we have on this car. Valve cover's looking a little bit rough, but that happens after some miles. The paint just flakes off. We haven't really bothered to get it painted, don't really care that much. Everything else in here, looking pretty good. A little bit of weep in there, maybe from a seal. Just did an oil change, put a new battery in, brake master cylinder brace, new clutch master cylinder. A lot of new parts on this thing now. Underneath, it's looking pretty fresh, honestly. Took it to Crown this winter, though we didn't really drive it that much in the salt. So everything's still rust-free. Car's held up great, not a spot of rust in about 2 winters of driving this, which is great. All right, let's go for a little rip here. It's wet. It's about 55 degrees Fahrenheit out. Turn on some heat. The redeeming characteristic of this S2000 with the top down in the cold is that the heater just burns off your appendages. It's fantastic. It's so smooth now with the new clutch. No more clutch flywheel chatter. Just completely silent. No more vibrations. It shifts like an absolute dream. And on these 205 60 R16 winter tires, very comfy and quite tail happy too. Though now, with the rear sway bar disconnected, you kind of have to work to get it sideways, which is satisfying. We're gonna let a little bit of temperature get into the car here, especially the gearbox, before we start pushing it. You guys may remember that 19,000 mile 2003 S2000 that I drove last year. Yeah, that's kind of been the benchmark for this car, to bring it back to its original glory. And we're about there. This feels as good, as tight, as fresh as just about any S2000 that I've driven. Cosmetically, it may be a little rough around the edges, but it really does drive amazing now. And honestly, it is just one of my favorite cars I think I've ever driven. It's up there in the top 5. It's all because of that. If I had to keep one car that I own, practicality aside, the fact that I have children and a family and I need to carry them around, it would be this. For the driving experience alone, it would be this car. Well, maybe not this exact car. Maybe I would go out and get a nicer one if I sold all my cars. But for the driving experience, this is the car that speaks to me the most. The SS1LE is close, but it doesn't have the top-down experience. A Miata would be more reliable, be newer, maybe a little bit safer, but it doesn't have the drama, it doesn't have the excitement, it doesn't have the raw, visceral feeling, it doesn't have the shifter of this S2000. It's darn close though, and with a few modifications you can really make a Miata a good driver's car, but man, this just hits in ways that I've always wanted a sports car to feel. Living with this thing, it almost makes me not really want a Porsche anymore. Let's get out to some better roads. We'll hit this entrance ramp gingerly since we are in winter tires and it is wet out, which means there is some grip and then there isn't. Not really comfortable at sliding this car around at speeds above 40-50 miles an hour, at least on winter tires. But there is a bridge. Still a great convertible on the highway. Minimal wind buffeting. All right, we'll spare you all the wind noise and cut to some better driving roads. See you guys in a minute. Also back on stock brake pads, so no more brake squeal, no more insane bite, no more stained wheels from the Hawk brake pad dust. Feels great, good bite, linear pedal. Probably not going to be tracking this car much anymore, if at all, just because one, every time we do, it suddenly breaks, and two, the Camaro SS1LE is pretty much ready to go on the track out the box, and the Civic Type R is so much fun and so reliable and just so great on the racetrack that it kind of, I don't know, this car just, it's such an amazing perfect street car on stock suspension with just a little bit of a tweaked alignment. I don't really want to go full track build on this thing. You guys want to have a little bit of fun? I don't do this on the regular, but every now and then, if I'm out for a spirited drive, I will take off the Airbox cover like I'm 17 in high school. And we'll make some VTEC noises. I wouldn't recommend doing this on the regular because the variable intake temperatures are not great for the engine, but it does make some cool noises. As long as you're keeping up higher speeds, it should be okay. And we got the heat on today. All right, you guys ready? VTEC trumpets of glory. In the end, it's all been worth it. This car's come together so nicely. I hope from this point on it's a little bit more reliable for us. Because it is just so darn good. Listen to that. Sounds like it has ITBs. Here. VTEC changeover happens so loudly. One more pull. I will kind of miss driving this on the winter tires just because you can slide it around a little bit. It's super comfy on our bumpy roads that we have right now. It's just that when temperatures start climbing, the tread just turns into mush. So I'm ready for some more grip, I guess, too. It's, you know, a little bit of both. This car is absolutely phenomenal in the snow. Lacks a little bit of ground clearance, but oh, it puts down so much traction. In fact, it's lightweight, has these excise snows on it in a skinny size. Get a little bit more rain right now. The trick with the rain in a convertible is just to go faster. Fuel economy. Finally got some numbers on this thing. Our best tank so far has been an average of 23 miles to the gallon. Not bad. We did about maybe 600 miles of clutch break-in before we started pushing it, and we just kind of gradually started ramping it up a bit more. We've got about 1,000 miles now on the new clutch, and it feels great. probably put the top up. Getting a little bit wet. Okay. Probably don't need that heat as much now. VTech Trumpets of Glory. I feel lucky about with this car is there's actually very few interior rattles. So driving it with the top up isn't as miserable as it could be in an S2000 that's a little bit, I don't know, looser, I guess. Suspension feels pretty fresh on this car too. Previous owner replaced a lot of stuff. Bushings still feel great. I don't know if they're original or if they've been replaced. Shifter rebuild and re-grease made a big difference. A lot smoother, changing into sixth. Never really quite felt right, and I think part of that was just partially the clutch, maybe partially just kind of the fact that the shifter had never been greased. Everything was dry, it was caked, it was disgusting. So we took that to Keone at Cap's garage in Ypsilanti. He fixed us up. Really, the only other thing I might want to do to this car is a limited slip diff. Looks like this is closed. We're going to keep going. honestly, at this point, it drives so well. We're so happy with it. On a set of sticky summer tires, it puts its power down pretty well on the street, especially with the rear sway bar disconnected. Stock suspension rides great. Rear's a little bit stiff. Could always swap in a set of AP2 rear springs that are a bit softer, but honestly, if we're doing suspension work, we're probably just going to do coilovers. We'll keep going. This rain today is a good way to wash off a lot of the salt from our winter driving. Dip in here and wrap up the video. Turkey. All right. Still a little bit of throwout bearing noise after the clutch replacement, but it's getting less, so maybe it's still just breaking in. Let's put our Airbox cover back on. This is a hefty piece. Okay. Hasn't been burning as much oil lately, too. We switched to a Castrol high mileage oil, I believe 5W30. And then we replaced the PCV here, and it seems really to only go through about a quart every 1,000 miles of really hard driving. Otherwise it really doesn't burn a whole lot. So that's good. AP1 motors are known to burn a little bit more oil. It's a good car. And like any great automotive experience, it's a bit of a love-hate relationship. My buddy Mike, who I bought my Camaro from, he's kind of the reason why I've always wanted an S2000. His 2003 was always just the perfect driving experience for me. It's amazing. And his car has got some fewer miles. He's probably lived a little bit easier of a life. But, you know, all he's ever had to really do is oil changes and brake pads. And his car's been pretty much flawless reliability-wise. This has needed a few more things. The saving grace, though, is that it was owned by a mature owner who I think he's in his 50s, maybe early 60s, and he didn't really drive this that hard. Maintained it pretty well, but you know, it needed some cosmetic stuff, so we had to replace the cluster lens and the steering wheel. And you can see just, you know, the shifter here has really been worn down to a mirror finish somehow. I'm leaving that because it's a nice little testament to some of the wear that this car has seen. Might address this at some point. We'll see. These center consoles are really expensive. I would like to get an AP2 one someday, or maybe a 2003 with the leather right here, but $700 is not really worth it. These seats were a really nice upgrade. Bought these on Marketplace for I think $800. With the intake cover on, it's a bit more of a balanced sound experience anyway. I think that's gonna be a wrap for this video. I'm gonna go get some gas, and glad we were able to get out just before church traffic filled up the roads. Good little Sunday morning drive in the S2000 before we swap out the winter tires here. Man, this is just, it's such a good car. Definitely a more involved ownership experience than I was hoping for, but you know what? I have loved every minute behind the wheel in this car. And now it finally drives the way I've always wanted it to. In the last year, S2000 prices have come down considerably. If you're in the market for one, I would just recommend getting the cleanest one you can find. And, you know, you can find a clean AP1 now, a really clean AP1 for the mid to low 20s. And that's a car that used to be in the low 30s. So it's a good time to buy. You can find a car like this with some higher miles on it. Maybe it's been well cared for. You can find those pretty easily in the teens. AP2s are always a little bit more expensive. They're a little bit more reliable too. Not as many things you need to do to them, but it kind of depends on what your intended purpose is. Overall, really glad we still have this car. We're holding on to it. We're not selling it. Every time I think about selling it, or want to sell it just for practical reasons, because it's just so darn time consuming to maintain and work on and fix and repair and expensive, I go for a drive and all that just kind of fades away, and then something else breaks and we fix it, and then we want to sell it again, and then we go for another drive and it's fantastic again. So hopefully eventually one of these days we'll just kind of reach that point where it doesn't really need a lot of maintenance for a while. Anyway, that's just the way it goes with older cars. You gotta kind of be ready for some unexpected things to happen. All right, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.